Let me ask you something. How often do you catch yourself venting about your problems? How many times have you unloaded your struggles onto someone, hoping they'll give you the answer, the solution, or at the very least, some sympathy? Be honest. Because whether we like it or not, most of us are guilty of this. It's human nature to want to express pain. It's a release. But let me tell you something. Talking about your problems over and over doesn't fix them. It doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't move you forward. In fact, it keeps you exactly where you are, stuck in the same cycle, hoping someone else will pull you out. Think about the last time you complained about something, your job, your finances, your relationships. Did venting solve it? Or did it just make you feel momentarily validated while nothing actually changed? Successful people, those who rise above, don't sit around telling the world how hard life is. They get up, they work, and they figure it out. You want to win in life? Stop looking for people to listen to your problems. Start looking for ways to fix them yourself. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Nobody wants to hear your problems. Some people pretend to care, but deep down, they either don't have the energy to take on your struggles, or worse, they enjoy watching you suffer. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's reality. Not everyone is equipped to help you, and not everyone wants to help you. Some people listen just to feel better about themselves, to compare your struggles with their own and think, at least I'm not as bad off as them. Others will pretend to be supportive, but secretly love seeing you stuck because it makes them feel superior. You might think sharing your pain will bring people closer, but in reality, it does the opposite. Nobody respects the person who is always complaining. Nobody admires the one who always has a problem but never a solution. So why are you wasting your breath? Why are you giving your energy away to people who don't deserve it? You have one job. Own your problems, face them head on, solve them, because nobody is coming to save you. This is about building mental strength, about taking your power back, about shifting from being a victim to being a warrior. Let today be the day you stop looking for sympathy and start taking action. Let today be the moment you decide that your problems will no longer define you. From this moment forward, you're not just another person complaining about life. You are the one taking control of it. Words are powerful. Every word you speak is like planting a seed. What you say, you eventually grow. If you keep talking about how hard life is, how unfair things are, how you never catch a break, guess what? That's exactly what you'll keep getting. Because the more you speak negativity, the more it becomes your reality. Think of a farmer. If he plants weeds, does he expect to harvest wheat? No. He knows what he sows is what you will reap. So I'll ask you, what are you planting with your words? Are you growing strength, confidence, and solutions? Or are you planting doubt, fear, and weakness? What do people think when they hear your name? Do they think of someone who always has an issue? Someone who is always struggling, always stuck, always complaining? Or do they see you as a leader, a fighter, someone who finds a way no matter what? Because the truth is, people don't admire those who wallow in problems. They admire those who overcome them. Look at the most successful people in the world. Do you ever hear them constantly talking about how unfair life is? Or do they focus on solutions, pushing forward despite the obstacles? You have a choice. Be remembered as a person with problems or as a person with solutions. Which one are you going to be? Whatever you focus on grows. That's a fact. If you talk about your failures, your struggles, your setbacks all the time, guess what? You'll feel them more deeply. They'll become more real, more overwhelming. It's like feeding the fire. Every word you say adds fuel. The more you talk about how bad things are, the more power you give those problems. But when you stop feeding them, when you shift your focus to solutions, the fire dies. So next time you catch yourself about to complain, stop and ask, am I feeding the problem or solving it? Your words aren't just for the world, they're for you. And if the words you tell yourself are weak, you will be weak. Stop saying I can't. Start saying I will. Stop saying this is hard. Start saying I'll figure it out. Stop saying I don't know how. Start saying I'll learn. Because here's the truth. You believe what you tell yourself. If you keep repeating that you're stuck, that life is unfair, that you'll never make it, you'll start to believe it. And the moment you believe it, you make it real. But if you start speaking strength into your life, if you start saying, I got this, even when you don't feel like you do, eventually you'll prove yourself right. You want to win? Change the way you talk to yourself. Change the way you talk about your problems. Speak strength. Speak confidence. Speak solutions. And watch how your world starts to change. The next section of the consequences of sharing your problems will expand on why seeking validation weakens you, how words create energy, and why venting often traps you instead of freeing you. Let me know if you'd like me to continue writing the next part immediately. Let me be clear. Every time you complain about your problems, you hand over control. You let the world dictate how you feel. You allow your circumstances to define you instead of the other way around. When you tell someone I'm struggling, you reinforce that struggle in your mind. When you say life is unfair, you convince yourself that you're powerless. But the worst part? The more you complain, the more you depend on external validation. You start needing people to acknowledge your pain, to comfort you, to tell you it's okay to feel weak. And guess what? That makes you weaker. Winners don't need the world's permission to be strong. They don't need people to say, I understand, before they rise up and fight. They don't waste energy explaining their struggles. They use that energy to overcome them. You think venting helps you? No, it drains you. It makes your problems feel bigger. It gives you an excuse to stay stuck. So stop waiting for someone to tell you it's going to be okay. You don't need that. You need to stand up, take back control, and make it okay yourself. Words have energy. And when you constantly talk about your pain, you spread that energy into the world. Think about it. Ever notice how the more you talk about a bad situation, the worse it feels? The more details you relive, the heavier it becomes? That's not just in your head. That's real. Imagine your words as seeds. When you say, I can't do this, you plant doubt. When you say life is so unfair, you plant resentment. And when you say nobody understands, you plant isolation. But here's the worst part. When you share these words with others, those seeds don't just stay with you, they spread. They take root in their minds and their perception of you. You're giving your pain wings, letting it fly into the world where it can grow and come back to you even stronger. Stop feeding your problems with words. Speak solutions. Speak resilience. Because the more you focus on your pain, the more power you give it to control you. Society loves to preach about vulnerability. It's okay to open up. It's okay to share. But let's be real. What happens when you open up to the wrong person? What happens when you spill your struggles to someone who doesn't truly care? Or worse, someone who enjoys seeing you weak. Not all vulnerability is strength. In fact, most of the time it's a trap. Because if you're constantly exposing your pain, you're allowing the world to see you at your weakest. And not everyone will honor that. Let me ask you, when has oversharing ever made you feel stronger? Did it push you forward, or did it just leave you feeling drained, like you gave a piece of yourself away? True strength is built in silence. You don't need the world to know your struggles. You just need to know that no matter what, you'll overcome them. Do you want to be respected? Then stop being the person who always has a problem but never a solution. Nobody admires the person who constantly complains. They tolerate them. They might even pity them. But respect, that's only given to those who rise above. Think about the strongest people you know. Do they walk around broadcasting their struggles? Or do they carry themselves with quiet confidence, handling their battles behind the scenes? Respect is earned through action, not words. You don't get it by telling people how hard your life is. You get it by showing them that no matter what life throws at you, you handle it. You want people to admire you? Then give them a reason to. Be the person who overcomes, not the one who complains. Let me tell you something. Your words don't just shape your mindset. They shape the energy of every conversation you have. Ever notice how after talking to certain people, you feel exhausted, like their negativity sucked the life out of you? That's because words carry weight. And if you're always talking about your problems, guess what? You're that person. You're the one draining the room. You're the one people secretly avoid because they don't want to take on your emotional baggage. But here's the flip side. If you shift your words, if you start talking about solutions, about ideas, about growth, you become the kind of person others want to be around. You become a force of energy, not a source of exhaustion. So ask yourself, what kind of conversations are you having? Are they building you and those around you? Or are they draining everyone including yourself. Because the words you choose, the stories you tell, they don't just define your reality, they define how the world interacts with you. We live in a culture that thrives on venting. Everywhere you look, people are complaining. On social media, in the workplace, in their daily conversations, it's almost like a competition. Who has it worse? Who is struggling more? But let me tell you something. Real winners don't play that game. You think billionaires sit around talking about how unfair life is? You think the strongest leaders waste time venting about their struggles? No, they're too busy building, too busy solving, too busy winning. Complaining is a trap. Society makes you think it's normal, even encouraged. But all it does is keep you stuck, because the more you focus on your struggles, the less time you spend overcoming them. So step out of that cycle. Be the person who stands up, who refuses to waste another second complaining. Be the one who chooses action over excuses, who chooses resilience over sympathy. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to fix your life for you. It's on you. And the sooner you stop talking about your problems and start solving them, the sooner you'll realize just how powerful you really are. Let me tell you something. The strongest people you know didn't rise to greatness by broadcasting every struggle. They didn't beg for attention, sympathy, or applause while they were in the trenches. No, they worked, they fought, and they did it in silence. Think about the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders. You don't see them talking about how hard their training is, how tired they are, or how many times they failed. You see them win, because real strength is built in the dark. The gym is empty when champions put in the extra reps. The office is quiet when visionaries build billion-dollar ideas at 3 a.m. The best musicians don't talk about practice, they just step on stage and perform. And you need to adopt that same mindset. Struggle in silence, let your results do the talking. Because the moment you need validation for your pain, you weaken yourself. Stop looking for a round of applause before you've even crossed the finish line. The people who make it, they don't need an audience while they struggle. They just grind, they just execute. And when they succeed, the world notices. Talking about your goals doesn't bring you closer to them. Planning endlessly doesn't replace execution. Yet so many people fall into this trap. They tell everyone about what they're going to do. They announce their ambitions, their dreams, their big plans, and then nothing. Why? Because talking gives a false sense of accomplishment. It tricks your brain into feeling like you've already taken action, but in reality, you're still standing in the same place. How many people do you know who always say they're going to start a business, get in shape, change their life, yet years go by and they're still stuck? Do you want to be like that? Or do you want to be the person who just gets to work? The choice is simple. Less talk, more action. The next time you feel the urge to explain your plan, stop. Save that energy. Use it to build, to execute, to make progress. Because when you finally show up with results, you won't need to explain anything. The world will see it for themselves. Stop explaining your process. Just deliver results. Do you think Steve Jobs walked around telling people every little detail of how Apple was going to change the world? No. He worked. And when the iPhone dropped, the world had no choice but to notice. The moment you stop seeking approval, stop looking for reassurance, and start believing yourself, that's when the shift happens. Your job isn't to convince people that you're working hard. Your job is to actually work hard. And when your success speaks for itself, trust me, the noise will be loud enough. Imagine your mind as a fortress. Every time you share your struggles, you open the gates. Every time you let in negativity, you weaken the walls. You need to guard your energy, because not everyone who listens to your problems wants to see you win. Some people thrive on your weakness. They enjoy your setbacks because it makes them feel better about themselves. So be selective, be private. Don't let just anyone inside your mental space. Protect your mindset like your future depends on it, because it does. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. It happens when you push through challenges, when you battle through adversity, when you refuse to quit even when everything tells you to stop. The strongest minds are built the same way strong muscles are, through resistance. Every setback is a rep. Every failure is another lift. Every struggle is a test. And the more you push through, the stronger you become. But if you run to others every time it gets tough, if you constantly seek comfort instead of solutions, you rob yourself of that growth. So embrace the struggle. Don't resist it. Don't complain about it. Use it. Because adversity isn't here to break you, it's here to build you. You can't fix a problem you refuse to acknowledge. Most people are blind to their own patterns. They don't realize how much time they spend complaining, venting, making excuses. They think they're just expressing themselves, but really they're reinforcing their own limitations. So the first step, catch yourself. The moment you start saying, this isn't fair, I can't do this, I don't know how, stop. Shift gears. Awareness is everything, because once you recognize the habit, you can break it. And breaking that cycle is the first step to changing your life. Turn every problem into a challenge, not an excuse. Winners don't see obstacles, they see opportunities. When something goes wrong, you have two choices. Make an excuse, dwell on the problem, and stay stuck. See it as a challenge, an opportunity to grow and find a way through. Which one are you going to choose? Because successful people, they don't have fewer problems, they just have a different mindset. When others complain, they strategize. When others stop, they push harder. Rewire your brain to think like that. Instead of this is too hard, say this is my training ground. Instead of why me, say watch me. Because the moment you stop making excuses and start seeing challenges as stepping stones, nothing can hold you back. No one is coming to save you. And that's a good thing, harsh truth. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody's going to fix your problems. Nobody is going to hand you success. And that's not a bad thing. That's a gift, because when you realize that your life is 100% your responsibility, you stop waiting, you stop hoping, you start doing. You don't need a savior, you just need to get to work. Take immediate action. No more excuses. The biggest difference between winners and losers, winners take action. They don't sit around waiting for the perfect moment. They don't overthink. They don't analyze every tiny detail. They just start. And you don't need another plan. You don't need more motivation. You need to move right now, because action is the only thing that creates change. And if you want your life to be different, the only way to make that happen is to take the first damn step. Who's in your circle? Your energy depends on them. Look around you, the people you talk to every day, the ones you share your ideas with, the ones who influence your thoughts. Are they lifting you up or holding you down? Because here's the truth. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with winners, people who push forward, who take action, who demand more from life, you'll start thinking, acting, and living like them. But if you surround yourself with complainers, excuse makers, and people who are stuck, you'll get stuck too. Not because you want to, but because their mindset will rub off on you. You need to protect your energy, because the people around you aren't just company, they are shaping your future. So ask yourself, are the people in my life making me stronger? Are they challenging me to grow? Or are they keeping me comfortable, stuck and small? The answer to those questions determines where you're headed. Ditch the complainers, the keeping you stuck. Negativity is contagious. If you spend your days around people who complain about their jobs, their relationships, their lack of success, you'll start doing the same. Not because you mean to, but because that energy infects you. Misery loves company. Complainers love to pull others into their cycle of frustration, doubt, and inaction. And if you're not careful, they will drain you before you even realize what's happening. So here's what you need to do. Cut them off. That doesn't mean you have to be rude. It doesn't mean you need to announce it, but you need to distance yourself from people who aren't adding value to your life. Because every second you spend engaging in negative conversations, every moment you give to people who just want to vent instead of solve, you are wasting your energy. Energy you could be using to build something real. Stop engaging in dead-end conversations. Stop giving your time to people who aren't moving forward. If they aren't trying to grow, they don't belong in your circle, period. Seek people who challenge you, not comfort you. Let's be honest. It's nice to be around people who agree with you, who tell you you're doing great, who make you feel comfortable. But comfort is the enemy of progress. If you want to grow, you need people in your life who challenge you, who tell you when you're slacking, who call you out when you're making excuses. The best relationships aren't the ones that make you feel safe. They're the ones that make you better. Find people who push you beyond your limits. People who see your potential and demand that you rise to meet it. people who expect greatness from you, not because they want to criticize, but because they refuse to let you settle for less than what you're capable of. So let me ask you, who's pushing you? If the answer is no one, it's time to change that. Surround yourself with people who refuse to let you be average, because when you do, you will rise to their level. Stop talking, start changing. Right now, this is your moment. No more excuses, no more complaining, no more waiting for someone to come save you, because no one is coming. And that's the best news you could ever hear, because it means that you have the power. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for the right time. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is action. You've spent enough time thinking, planning, hoping. Now it's time to move. So here's my challenge to you. Stop talking, start doing. You want to be respected. You want to be successful. You want to be the person people look up to instead of the one they pity. Then stop announcing what you're going to do and start showing what you have done. Winners don't need to talk about their grind. They just show up with results. So stop explaining yourself. Stop looking for approval. Stop needing validation. Let your actions speak so loudly that words aren't even necessary. Because the moment you do that, the world takes notice. This is it. The moment where you decide you can keep doing what you've always done, keep vetting, keep waiting, keep spinning the same cycle, or you can break free. Right now, you can take back control. You can own your mindset. You can cut out the negativity. You can build your strength. And when you do that, when you take full responsibility for your life, everything changes, because your future isn't determined by your past. It's determined by what you do next. So what's it going to be? Will you keep talking about change, or will you finally make it happen? This is your wake-up call. No more waiting, no more excuses. The time to act is now. Go make it happen.